Albert! What's up, bud? Sorry, I'm trying to get everything set up. So this really wasn't that planned. I took my wife to the airport this morning. I didn't figure I would be back yet. I gotta grab reading glasses. Convenient. There they are. What is this? Let me set this up. Welcome to live chat. Chat filter or show all messages. So I wasn't planning on doing this early. I figured it was gonna be later. My wife said that she had to be at the airport at 9. Well, that's what I heard. Her flight left at 9, which meant we had to be at LAX way earlier than that. So I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning. So her flight got changed. Originally, she's supposed to fly out of San Diego yesterday. Her flight got changed and it got shifted, and so she had to be at LAX. Her flight left at 9, which meant she had to be there at 5, which meant we had to leave here no later than 3:40, 3:30. So I've been up since like 3. We put her suitcases in the car and stuff. So that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not here to talk about my personal life. This officially has launched. Melissa Miller did a post about it. She did a quick video on Instagram. She tagged me in it. And so this thing, and I feel as though I screwed up. I should have tagged her in this as well. So big shout out to Melissa. She's taking a look at this. There's no gonna be gifts of these. I have one. Now, this version is not the version that you're going to see coming out if you go to the website, to KATSU Knives. Now, in the description of this video, I have put the link to KATSU Knives and the coupon code. So you can save 10% on these with my coupon code if you use the link down below. And if you see, this is not how they come from the factory. Mine has been sharpened down to a full convex, all the way down to maintain that. Now, I'm going to tell you, you don't have to do that. I'm going to tell you right now, you don't have to do that, or you wouldn't have to do that for a very long time. I was testing a couple things with this. This knife got some significant test in on it. It's S90V titanium fat carbon fiber. Now, this red one's not available yet. What's available is a white and black fat carbon fiber with blasted raw titanium scales. The stonewash or the blade finish that's on the production ones is much more fine. It's almost polished. These are the prototypes. They changed a couple things. They relocated the logo or the company name. They changed some screws and things like that at my request. So this prototype has been put through the ringer. I've had this for quite some time now. The reason that this knife is unique and what I wanted to do on it. And guys, if you're here, drop a like and ask if you got any questions about it. You can ask me anything you want about this knife because I designed it. It's based off of, my daughter just pulled out of the garage. Bye, baby. I love you. Drive safe. My daughter's on her way to school, up at the college. This is the original design for that knife. This is a small little fixed blade that I made for my daughter. Nope, I said drive safe. Love you. And as you can see, you're at 25 XP on the leaderboard. What is this? Wait, I'm curious. What is this? What is this? Community leaderboard is Rickert with 50 XP. Okay, I don't know what this is. That's a new thing, apparently, that YouTube has started putting up, but congratulations. So this I made for my daughter as a gift. Can I like it? Let me see. There you go. As you can see, so similar. I made this for my daughter as I made it as a birthday present. Pretty sure I made it as a birthday present for her. I was just starting to make knives. We didn't have any money. And so I made this for her. She was into Star Wars at the time, not so much now. But she was into Star Wars with me at the time, so I put logos on it to make it a Rebel Alliance knife. So I designed it on this, and we're gonna see if some more people show up. But the unique thing about this is this is a full convex. So full convex grind knives are a lot of times something you're gonna see. It's raining today, by the way. Full convex knives are something you're gonna see in a lot of bushcraft knives. As you can see on this, it's a full convex. It comes down, Appleseed style grind. As Melissa had said in her video she did on Instagram, you usually see that on axes, but you can see on this, it is a full convex. Now, it has a cousin. The convex has a cousin, kind of, which is the Scandi, which is another really, really popular outdoor knife. And Peterbilt Knife Guy, if you happen to be watching, I'm not going to fault you for saying that these are $10 knives. So I want to throw this out there. If you guys happen to have really lost your mind when if you guys really lost your mind when Peterbilt Knife Guy, when Kevin pounded one of these through a nail and it screwed it all up, these are $10 knives. I call these the GOAT because you're just not going to find a better knife at the price. And you can replace them easily. They're really good stuff for that, for like an outdoor style knife, and you know, but they are cheap. So don't get too twisted around the axle if he's calling these out and people are like, oh, because you didn't do the carbon. These are great for what they are. I've had several of these. Sometimes you'll get something on here that melts the plastic. You get diesel fuel or a solvent on them. The nice thing about these, the reason these are GOAT is because you can throw this away and get another one for $10. Typically, I'm not somebody that would like to would say I would not say that you should just throw a knife away and things like that. But the fact is, these are the box. These are better than a box cutter. They're going to be some of the sharpest knives you get. They are great. But this is a cousin to the convex. And the reason they're both so great is the amount of material that stays behind the edge. But this is still, and I meant to grab them off my workbench. My wife brought some stuff from work. She brought some fucking paper towels from work. She's like, use these. Stop cutting my good paper towels. Because I'm going to show you something that this knife, she doesn't want me using. The expensive paper towels, I'm using the stuff that she took from work. So hang on. Let me go grab them. They're on my workbench. These are just paper towels that they use at work. I think they're in a box and they just pull them out as they use them. Guys, please drop a like if you're here. Somebody had a, oh, let's go ahead and hide that user on the channel. So this is just a paper towel. It's just a paper towel. Oh no, I did some cutting with this, so it might not. Oh, there we go. That's paper towel. And you gotta have a really sharp knife to do that with paper towel. So this is at a full Scandis. A full recurve down to a 0 at about 8,000 grit. Now the problem is doing a full recurve on stones is difficult. Most people do it on like a mouse pad with sandpaper. I don't like the edge that you get with sandpaper. I really don't. I've had friends that did it. And so I used stones. It's not the most attractive grind, or the most attractive sharpening. But the fact is, you can't argue with the results. Now, I will tell you, you don't have to do that. I've done 2 different sharpenings on this. This had a secondary bevel, like what you would see on a regular knife. Like that, a secondary bevel. It had one. I softened the shoulders. I brought the edge way back, and I saw no difference in cutting between what I have now, which is a full Scandi, and what I did when I just did it as a regular sharpening and then left. But that is a full 0. There is no secondary bevel. There's a glint off the very edge, but took the shoulders completely off of it. You don't have to do that. As a matter of fact, I've sharpened this one, and you can see clearly a very distinct secondary edge. There's no difference in the cutting. I don't know if this will still do it. Will this one still? No. It kind of wants to. A little bit. But like I said, I just finished sharpening that one. So the reason I did this, it's up now. You can pick this up. The link is down below. This is available right now. There's a link down below for KATSU Knives. It's in the description of this. You click on it. Coupon code crazysharp is coupon code crazysharp will save you 10%. So this, the reason I went with this was I wanted something unique. I've had very few knives. I've had very few knives that had this. This has a full convex grind on it, and this one as well has been sharpened by me to have a little secondary bevel. I don't find it, some people are like, oh, you need to do it. I find this knife very attractive. I don't use this knife much, so I'm trying not to ruin it. This is in ZDP 189 at 67 Rockwell. Very, very similar to a Rockstead. So there's only a few companies that do the, what is this? You should make an MDF buffing wheel for the bench grinder and power strap it down to a mirror. I already have, I have a power strap and things like that. I don't really need it. This is my design. So this is my Habu. So this is a full convex all the way down. The reason I went with that is some of the most terrifyingly sharp knives I've ever handled had that. This, when it came from factory, this Bark River. Any of the Rocksteads I've ever handled. And there's another reason is it cuts so well because with that full convex, it pushes material out of the way and it continues to cut. Ask Jared Neves about how bad a convex knife will cut you. He has got nerve damage because of one that just did that on his finger. So these are available right now at KATSU, which the link is down below. Hey, thank you very much for the $5. I love your channel. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let me see. Can I like? There we go. Guys, there is a community board right now. 1 Minute Knife Reviews is in first place. I didn't know they were doing this. I didn't know, gamify the live feeds. So there's a lot of grinds out there. And a convex is something that is not typical on a folding knife, right? Not typical on a folding knife. The more you chat, the higher your score. The more you like the video, the higher your score. But that doesn't mean. So guys, there's 20 of you here. Like the video. So this was designed because outdoor knives with this convex are really, really resilient. So it's S90V steel, so it's already going to be really resilient. When you do this full convex, it just gives it some extra strength behind the edge. That's why these are so good for bushcraft, is because if you look, that's not a lot. Now this, I haven't tested it in a while. This might still, it's trying to cut a paper towel. But these typically take a very, very quick transition from the spine down, which means you've got that very, very acute edge, but a lot of material behind it. They typically don't slice as well as some other knives, which is why I like the convex. So you get that benefit of that thick behind the edge, and then come down to, and like I said, this is a full zero. You still have meat behind it, so it stays resilient, stays strong. That's why bushcraft knives are done with a full convex. How do you achieve your convex edge? You use a convex attachment. I don't use an angle system. I do everything by hand on stones. It's simply, as you can see it here, I just changed, you can see on there how many little passes there are. Those are each individual passes on the stone, so you just change your angle. It's really hard for me to explain if you've never tried to do it. I've done videos about it, but you're constantly in the transition on the stone. You're constantly rocking that knife, and you just got to know where your apex is so you don't pass that and wind up with an edge that does this because you change. So it takes a lot of practice. But the fact is, like I said, you can put a secondary bevel on this and it doesn't affect the cutting ability. It is hair pop. I tested on my wife's hair before she flew out this morning. I dropped a hair across it and you could just peel. I'm not going to even try and film. But like I said, I mean, grab a new one. Grab a new one. She brought me a stack of these. This is a paper towel. Free hanging paper towel. Please, guys, drop a like. Please. It's going to bring more people to it. Now, there's a lot of other knife grinds out there. Let's see. Does this one still? Factory edge still? No. It's time to sharpen this one. There's a lot of knife grinds out there that a lot of people love. This isn't going to be perfect for everyone because convex edges do have their limitations. This is something that I wanted to bridge that gap between an outdoor fixed blade, a folding knife. This is going to do a lot of tasks you want. There are going to be some limitations you're going to find with that, but it's so sharp, it's going to overcome that. This was designed to be a user. Now, I will tell you, I wear XXL gloves. If you think this is going to be a dainty little knife, it's about 9 1/4 inches. It's not a little knife. It's a big knife meant for big tasks, big forward choil, so you can choke way up on this and do some heavy tasks. With that full convex, you're going to be hard pressed to damage this because it winds up, you get so much strength from the thickness of the blade coming down from here down. You're going to have a hard time breaking it. It's S90V steel, which is one of my favorite steels. They asked me what steel I wanted in. I had some options. And when they said S90V, I was like, there we go. That's the way to do it. That's the way you do it. Convex S90V. The thing is, there's not a lot of non-Japanese style folders that are in that. Like I said, the only ones that I can really think of, except for some of the old school marble brand knives, were the Japanese, like the Rockstead, which this is very, very similar to the Higo 2. How much is it? I think these are $302 on their website, but you can save 10%. If you use my link that's down below, you save 10% with coupon code crazysharp. That's my affiliate link down below and coupon code. So this was, I mean, it's on the pricier spectrum, but you got to remember carbon fiber, titanium, S90V, and it's a convex, which is hard. I did one convex ground knife. It was a nightmare. It was literally a nightmare, and it took me so many tries to finally do it. And I wound up doing it as a giveaway because I was just tired of looking at it. But I did do one, and I'm going to tell you, it took me way more work than it did when I was making flat grinds. Flat grinds are nice thing about a flat grind or a hollow is once you get that established, you're just putting the whole thing up against it, and that's it. You're just removing material from the entire. Like this is a full flat grind. A full flat grind is, I have to say, it's up there with my favorite grind. These two are they're probably tied because you get so much out of a convex. So I've been working with KATSU for about a year now to get these out. So the ones that are available right now are not the red and black. There are the white and black and the yellow, black, and green. So that's Fook Doocy. What's up, buddy? Hollows are another really good one that I love. This is a hollow. So these are polar opposites. Where this dips in, this pushes out. It's like if you if you took this knife apart and blew that out until it was swollen out instead of dipping in. That's where you would be. But a hollow grind is great for a lot of things, but they can be a little bit more fragile because there's a lot less material. The nice thing about this, the length of time between when you sharpen it and you start getting into thicker material. So like I was saying, I took this all the way down to a 0 convex, but you wouldn't have to do that for quite some time if you're sharpening it, because like I said, this one I did a secondary bevel on, and I've been compare testing. I don't see any difference, and I had done this one in the same fashion that I did this. You can see a secondary bevel. These will come with secondary bevels, a thin one, a very narrow one. I didn't see a marked difference in how sharp no difference in how sharp it was, but I didn't feel any difference in how it cut. So I must have cut with this. I probably cut with the secondary bevel. I probably cut 30 pounds of cardboard. And then I cut a bunch of rope. And then I cut a 2-foot dowel rod into just chips, making just whittling it down to a point, then whittling it down and whittling it down and whittling it down. I didn't see any change in how this cut with a secondary bevel versus how it cut with a full convex 0. So the thing is, you can sharpen this a few times, just like I did on this one. Yes, that was Sebenza in my left hand. You can sharpen it a few times and put a secondary bevel on it before you start getting into that thicker material, which basically all we have to do is just take your angle and thin it back. You don't have to do the full convex if you don't like the way that looks. But, so when you do a full convex, you're taking material off of that and you're thinning it back down to kind of the behind the edge thickness it was when you first got the knife. So I have done a few videos on how to do it. I think it's in my members section, but I'm gonna do when I get a chance, because you guys know I'm working now, which is the other thing. You guys haven't seen me on YouTube for a while. You're gonna see that you're not seeing a lot of videos. I am gonna do a video about this. I will do a video on how to sharpen the way I do it, but keep in mind there's other ways to do a full convex. Like I said, some people like to use a mouse pad. It got really quiet in here for some reason. Some people like to use a mouse pad with sandpaper on it because it gives that thing. Problem is, when you're doing it that way, I don't like the edge trailing method of sharpening only. I feel like it doesn't remove the burr as aggressively coming into the edge. Now, the flip side of that is you're not having abrasive hit the edge, so you're not like getting little nicks and dings in your edge. So Murray Carter talks about like doing it that way, and how that sharpening straight razors, how that can be effective. I've never found that I like the edge off of sandpaper, first of all, and I've never found I like the edge that I get if I only do edge trailing or stropping strokes. I've never found that I like that edge. It just doesn't, and everybody's like, an edge is an edge. For me, having been a professional sharpener, an edge is not always just an edge. It doesn't always feel the same. So S90V was a really good choice. It's a really resilient steel. It's one of my favorite steels. As a matter of fact, my PM2, which I say is the best all-around EDC knife on the market, is in S90V. Really, really saying that Crewwear is better. This has still got the factory edge on it, and you can see how much I've cut with this. I mean, I understand why people do it. It's so much easier to get your convex edge with the mouse pad because it has that give. It's a lot like when you do it on a grinder, you use the slack belt area on the grinder because it has that give that gives you that. I know how to do it by hand on flat stones. I'm able to do it. It is time consuming, and you are removing a lot of material at the front, and it's not as attractive, but you can see that's what you get when you do it on flat stones. You get a lot of little facets, but that is just basically me knocking those shoulders off around that transition. And it does, like I said, it comes down to a full, it is so, I'm afraid to touch this. Like, that's how sharp it is. So on paper towel, you can't argue the results that I got with stones. I've never been able to get that paper towel shredding sharp out of something I did on sandpaper. I don't know if it's a different type of abrasives. I use premium stones as well. That's part of it. I think that the quality of the abrasive has something to do with it as well. I've just never found the sandpaper method working for me the way I want it to. So, but I mean, it's definitely a viable method. It's also more expensive. You may spend more money on stones up front, but you're definitely spending more on sandpaper. Sandpaper's not cheap. This is the production. Footdoocy, it's available. The link is down below. I believe that the title of that live feed is that it's available now. The link to KATSU Knives is down below. My coupon code for 10% off is down below. And this is the prototype, the one that they have out. I haven't gotten my production prototypes yet. The ones that they have out now are the raw titanium bolsters with the the white fat carbon fiber and the yellow and green fat carbon fiber. Those are what is available right now. The finish on them is a much more polished finish. This was just a coarse stone wash because it was a prototype. This is my prototype. This is one of one that came out. The other one, and if you guys could please go harass Metal Complex and tell him to send my prototype back. I will find a way to get him one of the production ones, but I want the prototype. He has the white and black one with the raw. He did a video about it, so did Jim Skelton. They are available in that configuration. These ones are coming later. Do you use stones or do you finish? So I, on this, was right off the stone and then on a couple passes just on, no. So this was right off the stone and then I pulled it through a cork to remove any of the residual burr. But then I used it a bit and I have not used a loaded strop on this yet since I sharpened it. I have only used raw leather. Let's go for a walk and you guys can see the current state of the studio because there has been no filming going on. It's a mess out here. I'm going through stuff. I'm going through a lot of stuff to try and figure out what I'm keeping and what may be done as a sale. There's a lot of knives here that I just don't need because they were here for the channel, and I'm not gonna lie to you, the channel is going to be what you've been seeing lately. Probably a lot of shorts. I will do videos occasionally. There's a couple reasons why. I want to do the video still about, I do still want to do the video about the history of cane swords and the walking stick and Bartitsu was the name of it, which was a Victorian era fighting art that was based on using cane and stick fighting and things like that. There we go. I used this. Now this has not been loaded with anything. This is just a leather strap. These are the Hutzels. You can find them on my, I think I put a link on my Amazon store, but you can find these on my Amazon store, these Hutzels straps. They're not made in the USA, they're made in Ukraine. So if you want to support Ukraine, not to get political, but hey, that's where they're made. I believe I still have the box here because I'm trying to keep it nice. So the company is in New Britain, Connecticut. So it's an American company and it's made in Ukraine. I was right. So basically all I did after I sharpened it, I pulled it through a wine cork. A little tip, if you're sharpening and you want to find an easy way to remove any residual burr, you can pass it through your strop handle if they're hardwood. Just pull it across it. But the best one I found is a wine cork. And so then you just do some passes on this, which is just, like I said, just bare leather, no strap compound on it. I'm going to get a second one of these and start and load it as a loaded strap. So you use the suede side first and then the polished side, the finished side. And what it does is it just brings that edge back up to which you can't support Connecticut. And then that lays that edge up any little areas of that have been knocked over. No, I mean it was doing that before. Sorry, I just can't support Connecticut. It's funny. I'm sorry. Guys, I am not typically going to say this, but already $7.27 in super chats. If you guys want to drop a super chat, feel free. I'm not asking you to. I'm just saying you can feel free. And like it if you're here, if you haven't already liked it. So yeah, like I said, this was meant to be like an outdoor folder, but not like the overbuilt knives that aren't functional as overbuilt folders. The problem I had with a lot of the overbuilt folders, even this one, which is my buddy Ramon's design, this is a big overbuilt knife, and that is so... Now, I will admit, his mid-tech ones that he was doing, way thicker. This definitely is a more utilitarian knife, but it is so thin. A lot of, not saying this one, a lot of the overbuilt knives that people are like, oh, that's a knife that you can take out in the woods as a folding knife. Not true. Because most of the time, they were done with this big overbuilt body, but then they had these blades that just came down and they were still really thin behind the edge because people would use them not as outdoor knives. I will grab an outdoor knife for you. A knife that, if you want a folding knife that you can take outdoors and just beat the ever-living crap out of. Get yourself a cold steel Espada. This is the large. I'm not going to grab the extra large because it doesn't make sense. But this is, in my opinion, the quintessential outdoor style knife. Right? It's not a convex, but if you want a folding knife that you can definitely put through the paces, cold steel Espada. The XL is huge. If that's something you're looking for, if you want something that you can have like a folding sword, well, you know what, we'll grab it. We'll grab it so I can show you the difference. But there's not much learning to do when it comes to stropping. You'd be surprised how many people can screw... You can screw up stropping. You can screw up stropping. You can get your angle too high and drag it across the leather. You can overstrop if you're using loaded strops where you wind up burnishing your edge and it just doesn't stay sharp. That's why I don't use... This is the XL, which means that... So you can take this as a... Like, this would take up a lot of the stuff you would need, but that's not what we're talking about. Anyway, I wanted something that was more outdoorsy. So it's an outdoor style design, but I definitely wanted to incorporate that convex. And when KATSU asked me if we could do it as a convex, I was going to ask you anyway if we could do it as a full convex. It just kind of works out for so many purposes that you've got a knife that has got that full convex, and it's a bigger knife. This is way bigger. So just to put it in perspective, my last knife was the same size as this. It's just the Sea Snake is and this is the same design. This is a drop point version of the Sea Snake. This is actually the first version of what turned into the Sea Snake, and a couple of my friends were like, you should make that as a Warrenclyffe, and then we just flipped the blade. That's how much bigger it is. This was made for my daughter, which was why it was small in the first place. But the fact is, this is a nice little outdoor knife that was designed around the size that I would have wanted for a child or a young lady. And so that's why I designed this for my daughter, and it kind of morphed into the Habu, or to the Sea Snake. But this has morphed into this, which is the flipper drop point folding, or the flipper folding version. Now, I'm going to tell you, it's dangerous. If you get one of these, I'm going to hazard you to be very, very careful. That pivot's not loose. That thing is rock solid. All of the KATSU knives I've ever had have been... I have not taken this knife apart to clean it, and I've been carrying it for the better part of a year. That is... I'm in San Diego. I'm in San Diego, but I grew up like an hour away from Pittsburgh in Ohio, southeast Ohio. So this is just a bunch of things that I always wanted to put together. It was like I had a shopping list of things I wanted, And I had a company that was like, hey, can we do this? And their list was just like, check, 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 check. I'm like, cool. I will say a lot of folks asked why I went with a frame lock. And the reason was I had not seen, because people are like, oh, what about a drop point? Or I mean, what about a button lock? Or what about, a liner lock? And I was like, you know what? I know what KATSU's frame locks are like. And I like how they do their bolsters. And I love a good frame lock. And so I do know that I have said a bunch of times, compression lock is my favorite lock. But this is one of the most popular locks on the market, is the frame lock. The tried and true, the well-known, the tested. It's really secure because everybody's like, oh, that lock could fail. Yes, it could fail, but if I'm holding the knife properly, and I did do some spine whack tests on this, some gentle spine whacks, the lock is fine on this. As a matter of fact, Melissa Miller batoned with this. And she did say batoning with it is a bad idea. It is a bad idea. The only knives that I would ever trust batoning with are knives with the triad lock. Cold steel triad lock, strongest lock on the market. So this knife is going to be around for a while. There's a whole, like I said, the ones that are available aren't even this one. There's a whole nother version that's coming. So absolutely over the moon with it. Anybody got any questions about it? Because like I said, there's changes to it online. Like I said, they changed hardware. I think they may have changed like the angle of pocket clip slightly. There's been some minor little changes to the knife. I definitely know they changed to T8 hardware. You disengage the lock baton with a folding knife. I've seen a lot of people not do that lately. I've never batoned with a folding knife, except one of these. And I definitely did not. Guys, if you're here, please drop a like. I definitely did not. I think I batoned with the big one. Was the big one? You see? No, it was this one. I batoned with this one because I can see the dings and stuff in the spine of the knife. I would say for a lot of knives, yes, you may want to disengage. This one, I wouldn't worry about it. With the cold steel triad lock, I absolutely trust the triad lock way above any other. I would say for a lot of locks, like frame locks, that would be a good idea. But the fact is, I am not going to baton with a knife. As a matter of fact, in all likelihood, I'm not going to baton with a knife at all. If I go camping, I have a camp hatchet that I take with me. I would much rather use a camp hatchet than baton a knife. Because the fact is, and hear me out, tasks that you're going to do with a hatchet, like splitting up kindling and things like that, unless you absolutely don't have any other item, are not going to be the tasks you're going to do with a knife. Doing things like batoning and chopping wood and things like that with a knife are definitely things that edge is not meant for. And then when you need a sharp knife later on, you don't have it. Because I'm going to tell you what I don't take when I go camping is a sharpening kit or a sharpening stone. I may take a small ceramic hone. I have I used to have a Spyderco sharp maker, and I only got it because I wanted the triangle stones for thing. And I've bought more stones. I don't even have the sharp maker kit anymore. I have just now bought replacement rods for it. I have one that's broken that is in my pack. As a matter of fact, it's not in my pack anymore. I took it out because that pack got reutilized for something else. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So using a knife, there are some knives you can get away with that with. I'm not gonna lie, I've got one right here, but I'm not gonna take this size. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would rather take a good knife and my hatchet, which is my little camp hatchet that I take is in this crate full of fixed blade stuff. I just have to find it. I have enough fixed blades that my hatchet is covered and I can't see it. would help if I would take these off so I can see. I have to wear reading glasses at this point. What the hell? How do you lose a hatchet inside a box of knives? Oh boy, hang on a second, guys. This was poorly thought out. Oh, there it is. It's at the very bottom underneath the K-bar. This is a lighter package. So, that's not what I came out here for, was it? Oh, yeah, it was not what I came out here for. I have, this is what I carry if I go camping. I just stick it in my pack. So, like I said, I will tell you, if you're taking a knife and think you're going to do all the tasks. Now, like I said, some exceptions, just like Scab's card truck. It is. It's Scab and I joked about that here one time, that like us trying to find knives in a crate. This is way lighter than this. And it's going to be way more effective. There's so many things I can do with this that I can't do with this. While this is a great outdoors knife, I can't do any fine tasks with this. The only thing I can do is chopping. There are times you may want something like that, right? That Work Tough Grizzly. There's going to be times you may want something like that. I can't think of a time that I wanted something like that, but I can absolutely tell you I would rather have this and this than that, or this, because now this is way lighter, and now I've got something that does camp tasks and does tasks the knife would do, but still has got that recurve, or I mean, that convex. That's my knife, Stone Hands. It's available now. So this is available now at KATSU Knives. There's a link in the description. There's a coupon code that will save you 10%. This is the prototype. It will not look like that. This has been tested extensively. So this and this is all you need. So much less weight. Hikers are always talking about saving weight, but yet then they take something big. This and that will get you where you want to go. This is a much better. This has been tested extensively as well. So I don't know if these are available anymore, but I will tell you, as you can see, this has been used extensively and tested, and it works so well as a little camp hatchet. And now that you've got that out of the way, you've got something here that you can use that has those same features as a bushcraft knife, right? That you get in that Bark River. Now you've got a blade that is nice and delicate for doing small tasks. It's still robust. It's incredibly sharp. Like I said, paper towel, not a chance. It doesn't stand up. So a lot of people try to use a knife for things it should not have been used for. No knife was designed, with the exception, rarely, of that Work Tough Gear Grizzly. Very few knives are designed to do the same task as a KATSU Habu. Yes, sir. Anthony Rellens, the KATSU Habu. 10% off if you use my coupon code that's in the description below. But like I said, now you've got something that you could use to cut up meat, to cut up your proteins, to cut up vegetables. You can do some small tasks. But it's also something that you can carry day to day for a lot of tasks, like cutting up cardboard, opening packages, cutting open a lot of stuff. On a job site, it's going to work really well for a lot of things on a job site. Guys, there's 35 of you here, only 19 likes. Please drop a like. And if you feel like it, you can drop a super chat. So I designed this a long time ago. I had this in my head for a long time. And I knew I wanted to do a folding knife, and I just had to find the right company. KATSU just happened to be the right company. So hurts my soul when I see somebody pry with their pocket knives. I have a pocket pry bar, If you guys have not ever watched John Malecki's John Malecki Unscrewed, he was talking recently about pocket pry bars and how he doesn't understand them. I didn't used to until I found that there were things that I did do with them. They're not a heavy use tool, but they are a nice little thing to add to your collection of things that you would use. But yeah, when I designed this, it was originally just I wanted my daughter to have a small little fixed blade for outdoor purposes. At the time, she was still into camping and doing and hunting and things like that with me. She no longer is. And we didn't do hunting, but we definitely did camping, and we definitely did, you know, climbing a mountain. And I made it as something that she could easily carry, easily use for smaller hands. And I based it off of that. I love this design. And I tried for a long time to get the fixed blade released. KATSU asked me if I wanted to turn it into to a folding knife, and I said absolutely. So we went bigger. Went way bigger. And I can't tell you how incredibly impressed I am with how they took that fixed blade design, translated into a folding knife, and then I'm saying like that is, I only own one other knife, and this is some high praise. 302. 302. Ooh, I got a screwed up stomach, guys. 302 is what I saw it at. I think MSRP, like I said, you can save 10%. I think you can save 10% if you use my link, and another 10% if you use my coupon code. To tell you the truth, you could save 20%. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. I think if you use the link down below, it's 10% off, and if you use the coupon code, it's another 10% off. If that works, great. If not, you'll still save 10%. The only other knife that I have that is that smooth, and this is some high praise. The only other knife that I have that is as smooth as this knife is this $1,000 knife. I own a lot of very smooth knives. Sorry, let me get in frame. I own a lot of very, very smooth knives. Right? And my finger was on the flipper. The only knife that I have that is as smooth as that is my $1,000 Grimsmo Norseman. The action on these are comparable. And I never imagined hearing myself say that I would have a knife that was, I never thought that I would have a knife design on the market that would be equivalent to the gold standard that I had set as for knife smoothness. Never once. So you want to talk about quality of production. It's amazing. This is the prototype. I wonder what they dialed in on the production versions. This is the prototype. So what is this? More than I thought I would. Depends on what you do for hobbies. You know where it gets used a lot? There are a few knives that I own that are so tight fitting. It's regular bearings. It's just, and it's dirty. This thing is dirty. Let me see if I can get in on it for you guys to see. It's just regular knife bearings. Can you see? I don't know if you can see it. You know why you can't see it? Because it's fucking dirty. It is filthy. It's been in my pocket non-stop since it showed up. It has been in my pocket Did she drop a full video or just on Instagram? I know she did a post. She tagged me in the post. Here's the thing. I get where you're coming from, but I am guilty of that as well. And do you know why? Makers that I talk about a lot, and the designers, I definitely, like, I talk about this designer, Ramon Chavez, because I'm friends with him. I talk about Touch Knives because Will and Eric I'm friends with. So when I talk about those guys, and give you insight into them, it's because I know them personally. I know Melissa, but not as well as I know a lot of other people. She knows me, having met me maybe 3 times. We've had some interaction here recently via email and on Instagram. But to tell you the truth, as much as as many subscribers, as many knives as she's done, as many people as she's met working for Blade Magazine, she probably could not pick me out of a lineup. I can because I know her from being a public person. When I talk about designers, it's like talk about these designers, like the Grimson brothers, because I know them. I've talked to them extensively. The Fair and Forge Knife Works guys, I'm really good friends with them. The guys at, and we're not going to get into the controversy. We're not going to get into the controversy of the Microtech thing. I will tell you that, like, I can see both sides of it. I can see where Anthony may have been within his legal rights to take elements from a design, but not the entire design. But I can also see how Hawk Knives could be upset that it seems like he's stolen. So I'm not going to get into the legalities of that and into that. I'm friends with Tony. I'm friends with some of the guys at Microtech Knives. I'm not going to get into that controversy, but I will tell you that when I talk about Tony Marfione as a knife designer and how much I like his designs, I talk about him personally because I know him. Me liking him has nothing to do with me liking his knives. I liked his knives before I ever met him. Jim Skelton, as a knife designer, I know Jim personally. I can tell you a lot of things about Jim. We could go back and watch videos, and we've done it when I did lives on my computer, when I pulled up when he sold watches on Home Shopping Network. Right? Was it Home Shopping Network? QVC? I can't remember. It was one of those, Shop NBC, something like that. He had the watch channel that he did then. It was, they're obscenely priced, but having made custom knives, I can tell you why they're that way. I've made custom knives and people were like, your prices are obscene. And I'm like, well, don't buy it. Don't order, don't go to a knife maker and have them make you something custom and then argue about, like, your stuff is too expensive. There's a reason why it's that expensive. I mean, just in materials. If you sell a $600 knife, you probably have $300 tied up in materials and at least double that in time. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. So I'm glad Melissa did a YouTube video. I like Melissa. Okay, well, I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted about Melissa, and it's because of the personal versus professional. And she's absolutely right about everything she says about knives, in my opinion, so far. So we'll leave it at that. I just got a bunch of texts. So I'm really glad she liked the knife. I really am. And from her being an outdoor survival professional, her liking the knife says a lot. As a knife designer, maybe not, but you have to remember, she is an outdoor survival specialist. She was on outdoor survival TV shows. She knows what needs to be done in the outdoors. She is a survivalist. And you can say she's not as knowledgeable, and I would have to disagree. I would say she's very knowledgeable. As knowledgeable as way more knowledgeable than a lot of guys that I know on what it would take to survive in the wilderness. So we'll leave it at that. She's a wilderness survival expert. She really is. And the interactions I have had with her have been all positive, to tell you the truth. I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with how certain people create content, and that's just a personal thing. So I don't want to get into that because I do like her, and I definitely appreciate her talking about the knife. I am at 5% on this phone that I'm pulling up because my daughter texted me. As you know, she just left the house to go to school. Daniel, what's the meaning behind the kanji on the site? I asked my wife, so I don't know what that means. The name of the knife is based on a small Japanese viper in southern Japan where I lived for 13 years. That's what that's based on. I don't know. I asked my wife the kanji. She said that's not the right kanji. But then that goes between me using a name for a Japanese viper and them being a Hong Kong-based company. That could be. Yes, exactly. She definitely has a wealth of knowledge on that. And I absolutely respect her bushcraft abilities and things like that. I think it just has to do that, like, I don't like everyone's content. It's nothing, I can't really say, I don't know Melissa well enough to say whether, I don't know Melissa personally well enough. She seems very nice from all the interactions I've had. So I guess I shouldn't have said that I don't. Okay, so this is the version of it that's available. This is the one you saw on her. So I shouldn't have said that. That's not true. I don't dislike Melissa. I don't think I know her enough to make that kind of a judgment call, now that I've said that. But we're gonna check on something here. I'm trying to check on the live feed. My daughter just texted me though. She said that there's traffic. She's stuck in traffic. So that sucks. I kind of expected. It's been kind of rainy and things like that. Trying to check on the status of this live feed. Oh, there we go. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah, I want this to be something that you could throw in your pocket if you're going camping with a hatchet. With a hatchet, this would be fine. Too much gear. This is a way lighter package than this. And like I said, you can't do a lot of things with this. Unless you're going into the jungle to hunt some mythical creature that's chasing down your team of pararescue guys, and you are a muscle-bound behemoth. And you're a muscle-bound behemoth, and you're following Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you're gonna cut it. That's when you would need this. I can honestly say, as much as I love this knife, I can't think of a time that I would take this. I can't think of a time that I would take this over this. I can't. I can enjoy it. I can think it's fun. But I'm going to tell you, I can't think of a time that I honestly would take a combat knife over this. And this is not a little knife. That's a fairly good sized knife. What is that? What's the weight on the Habu? Hang on a second. Allow me to pull it up. It's 309. It's 309 if you don't use, like I said, I think the link below for this, for my knife, which is going to be the white and black version, not this version that you see here. I think, it is, I'm looking up the weight right now. The weight on this, and keep in mind, I don't know if they did weight reduction in this with other than putting carbon fiber on a lot of it. The weight on it is 5.7 ounces. 5.7 ounces. But keep in mind, like I said, it is a convex grind. And a convex grind has more material on it. And it's not thin blade stock by any stretch of the imagination. It's actually about the same blade stock as the cold steel Espada, large Espada. So yeah, 5.7 ounces is what they've got on that. And I don't know what this weighed, but like I said, this is a prototype. I don't like, I don't like Whatnot auctions. I don't typically like channels to do it. I love Jared to death, but one of the things that I hate are Whatnot auctions that are done live. I've never liked, I don't like Whatnot as a company. I see their advertising and I find it shady, and I'm afraid that my friends that are participating in having Whatnot auctions could possibly get screwed. That's my concern. I don't know what percentage they take. Once again, that's a paper towel. Did you see that? That's push cutting paper towel. Now, I'm not going to say that you're going to receive your knife from the factory that sharp. It came really, really sharp. That's my personal edge, which is why I was a professional knife sharpener for a lot of knife makers. There's a lot of knife makers that I sharpen knives for. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. I'm not a big fan of the great big overbuilt outdoor knives. I have found, growing up on a farm, for most people's day-to-day outdoor, in like I said, unless you are participating in activities that would be in an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, you probably do not need this. For most people throughout their day-to-day, they do not need this. But this might be right up their alley, which is what I'm hoping for. I hope it does well. I really would like to have a knife design that just kind of just kills it. I want to talk about something though, and it's the steel it's in. So a lot of people are like, why S90V? S90V has really, it's really impressed me over the years as to how it's not too difficult to sharpen, how it holds up to so many rigors of like flexing and hey. Now I'm in case you don't know, the gentleman that just commented I said, like, very rarely would I ever need this unless I'm participating in activities that you would see in the movie Predator, and I was Billy on a, you know, maybe. But the gentleman that just commented is the designer of this knife. And it's an incredible knife. I would never say it's not. But I'm also not in Alaska. I just personally find for my day-to-day, if I was going camping and things like that, this would be a better combination. A really good knife, even though it's a folding knife, with the convex, and a good hatchet. I personally, having spent my entire adult life in the military, know the economy of packing up what you need and what you don't, and carrying less. Sometimes less is more, especially when you're talking about the ability to carry weight and economy of motion and economy of resources. If I go camping, I'm not going out to an area where I need to fight off, well, maybe fight off a mountain lion. I'm not gonna lie. We have some areas that I went camping that this probably could, I could defend myself against a mountain lion, but I'm not gonna lie to you, when I go to those places, I take a .44 Magnum revolver. Simply because, well, I'd rather not have to fight a mountain lion with my knife. I would much rather just blow its head off. So that's all I'm saying. Like, it's the incredible knife, and I love it. And when Scab gave it to me as a gift, I was like, oh my god, I love this thing. I've cut myself as bad with this knife as I ever have cut myself with anything. As a matter of fact, I have nerve damage in my right thumb from this knife. And I still have not done what I said I was going to do, which is knock the point off of this, which is how I cut myself so incredibly badly. I still can't feel the... That line right there, that's from that knife, and I still can't feel that side of this thumb. Actually, there's another one there that I did with a different knife, but I can feel that side. I can't feel this side of my thumb. Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, I'm not into hand-to-paw combat. I would much rather I'd much rather take this and my folding knife that I designed and have that weight available for me to carry a firearm if I'm going out in the woods. If you can find one of these, this is the... Oh, I can't think what this is called. I can't think what this is called. Nebulax. So this is a Nebulax. If you can find one of these available somewhere, I absolutely recommend it. It is great. It's nice and thin profile. It comes with this sheath, which is absolutely handy. What is this? You feel a 10 millimeter, a medium 5/6 inch solid folding knife, and easy to sharpen in the field. Yeah, something like that for camping. I also would recommend. I have another knife that if you want something a little bit more light, not to get off the subject of what we were here to talk about, which is my knife. There is another knife that I would absolutely recommend for like a camping and outdoor. It's absolutely the best. Small little fixed blade. I'm desperately digging for it dangerously in a box of fixed blade knives that some of them have sketchy and possibly unreliable sheaths that I'm going to lay myself open with. I have, in here somewhere, the best little outdoor folding, or outdoor fixed. What the fuck did I do with that knife? I'm looking for it. Here, you can help me look for it in this big old box of fixed blade knives. It's in here somewhere. It has to be. I know it has to be because I just saw it. It's not that one. It's not this one. Did I? Hang on. I gotta look around. This is the problem with having as many knives as I do. Things get moved around and then you can't find what you're looking for. There it is. I found it. I found it. I found it. So, a lot of times, you might not want a folding knife. And as much as I can tell you all day that this was designed as a knife that you could take out camping and in the field and things like that. That was the purpose of it. That's why it has an outdoor style. I wanted the convex because it's more bushcraft. I will tell you, this is about a perfect knife. No frills. I mean, other than how fancy the handle is. This is a knife that's done by a gentleman named Lon Humphrey. He does these in Ohio, right outside of my hometown. This knife was sent to me as a gift. This is just about a perfect outdoor knife if you want something to put on your belt so you're not having things in your pocket. So if you wanted to put this, now I will tell you, these come with a sheath. So you could put this on your belt as well. This is about the best all-around outdoor knife you're going to find if you want a smaller knife, which is about in that 10-inch package. You can also try to find one of these Bark Rivers. This is the North Country EDC 2. It is a full convex as well. If you're looking for something. I mean, I'm not trying just to sell you on my knife design. I'm really not. That's kind of what this live feed is about. But the fact is, there's options out there, and I am not too full of myself to also sell other people's stuff, even though that they don't even know I'm doing it. I just like to give you guys honest opinions. I am over the moon with how this design came out. I'm over the moon with the execution. And I would love every one of you to go pick one up. Or at least drop a like on the video. Maybe a super chat. I haven't made any money on this channel really for a while because I haven't put anything up. But I think that this is a good middle of the ground option. Right? I think this is a really good middle of the ground option. It's got the right kind of blade shape. It's a nice radius on that. I'm obviously trying not to I'm not trying to touch this because of how terrifyingly sharp it is. But I'm gonna say, like, you can do a lot with this that you can't do with some other knives just because of how it is. And that, I will tell you, if you want a nice piercing tip, that full convex 0 comes down to an insane tip, which I'm gonna tell you, I already used it to pluck a splinter out of my finger. And I'm like, wow, I did a good job thinking this up. It's just a really good design. It's a nice, gently recurved blade that you can use for a lot of stuff in your pocket. And like I said, pay no attention to how this one looks. This is the prototype that's been tested for almost a year. So it's had a full convex 0 put on it. But it's been sharpened several times. Their S90V seems to be great. I don't sharpen knives anymore. Anthony, I don't. I've got too much nerve damage. I started noticing things. One of the reasons I stopped making knives was I started noticing flaws in my knives. Other people weren't seeing it, but as the maker, I started seeing it. So I shifted back to just sharpening. And then I started noticing flaws in my sharpening that other people weren't seeing, but as the person doing the sharpening, I could see. And so when I realized that I had lost a lot of the fine motor skills in my dominant hand, I kind of was like, I gotta stop. And I had to stop, and it put a really big financial burden. I tried to make the YouTube channel the thing that did it. It did for a little bit, but then it just stopped. A lot of people are leaving YouTube for the same reasons. They'll tell you all their reasons, like, oh, I wanted more time with my family, this and that. They wanted out before YouTube really took their channel stuff down to a point where they weren't making everything. But I still, like I said, I still had the knife designs, and I still had it up here what I wanted, and there's still another one in here that I've already laid to design work thanks to Elliot Williamson, and we're going to get that to happen. It may be with KATSU. I would like to have it be with Work Tough Gear. But KATSU is an option. It's a fixed blade. It's a very distinct dagger that I've been working on for a while that is based on my original stonefish. It's a dagger version of the stonefish. So same handle, different blade shape, really unique look to it. I really hope it's going to come out good. So does Work Tough etch? It just depends on. Yes, I used the Shaptons on it. Well, I used that 400 grit diamond that you sent me to set the initial. Does Work Tough even make folders? No, this is a fixed blade that I'm talking about. It's a dagger. So, but this folding knife has been something that I wanted to try. And I can't do OEM and then ship knives and working. So like I said, the channel's basically shut down because now I have a job and I work a lot of hours. I do enjoy my job. But I work a lot of hours and I give up so much with the channel. The only reason I'm doing this today is I have the day off because I had to take my wife to the airport. My daughter is in school. My wife is on her way to Japan or already there. I'm not 100% sure yet. Oh, and for those of you that have been saying, why doesn't it have a thumb stud for reverse or a way to reverse flick? You can reverse flick off the flat of this knife. Well, it doesn't have a flat, but you can, the area that is exposed there, you can get your finger on it and you can flick it open. Who's Alan J? I mean, you're still going to see shorts and things like that, but aren't. I got news for you. Not to get into politics, but most Chinese manufacturers have stated they're going to eat the cost of the tariffs, and it's not going to affect. It's not going to affect most. Didn't affect the price of this knife. It's cheaper than their other. That's snap, guys. But what I was saying is, like, you can. I missed it that time, but you can easily reverse flick off of this, as smooth as this knife is, as long as you're careful. Because, like I said, you miss it, you get your finger in the way, you're gonna have to go to the emergency room. Oh, that's my buddy Alan. That's my buddy Alan. We were roommates in Japan. One of my best friends in the world. And like most military guys that are like family, we only talk to each other like twice a year. I thought you guys were close. We are, and we ridicule each other. And he's the only his hairline was worse than mine when we were in our 20s. I was like, bro, how are you so bald so early? Yes, it's a guillotine. And like I said, when you're dealing with something that's that sharp on paper towel, paper towel. No, you don't. You know where I used to live. You don't want to let that drop on your thumb. Oh. I wish you were not trying to shill Bitcoin on my channel. Oh, hey, look, they went away. Bye. See you later. I hate those bots, and I hate the fucking trolls. So, yeah, like I said, it's available now. There's not much else to say about it. I got something is vibrating. I believe I just got another notification. I did. See, people are going and they keep asking, so it's going to be a traditional bevel on the, oh, yes, a traditional bevel. So whoever, if you happen to be watching, the guy that just commented on that, it will have a secondary bevel on this when you get it. But it's still going to be full convex. And like I said, that secondary bevel that's on most of my other convex knives, the other two that are out here, it doesn't affect its ability to cut. It just makes it easier for you to sharpen. It just makes it way easier to sharpen just doing a secondary bevel. I already talked about it. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not a legal scholar, but I'll tell you, I do know that I have other friends in the knife industry that have had kind of little elements of a design that were taken, and they really didn't have much standing legally. It's a lot like somebody saying that the guys at nafs.com stole the design for a forward choil from another knife, and I'm like, you can't patent a choil. So like I know Anthony, and I know Anthony's had his legal struggles in the past, and I think like he probably was given good advice before he did anything he did. From my understanding, unless you patent each individual part of a mechanism, those parts aren't technically patented. The mechanism itself is. Small elements of a patent cannot, like if you're using small elements of a mechanism, you can't really do anything like that. Look at the detent nub that's on a Holt knives and compare it to what's on a Sharp by Design. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Believe, if I remember correctly, Brian was told he didn't have legal standing because it was only a part of a larger mechanism, and so I don't know how it's going to pan out. I'm not trying to take any sides. You guys do know I'm friends with Tony, and You know, I wish him the best, but I think that Tony would have made an informed decision considering Tony does sue. So I think that he would have known, and so what his standing was, especially considering he didn't sue Axial Knives when they basically made a one-for-one copy of his knives. So that should tell you where I'm going with this. I don't like seeing infighting between companies. I don't like seeing infighting from company. Well, I might get into it. Some people don't like Tony. I'm friends with Tony, and that's why I'm not going to get into it. I wish both companies the best. I did say that the Hawk Deadlock was the first knife that ever got a perfect on my channel. The first non-fixed blade that was ever perfect on my channel. I could find nothing wrong with it. Nothing. Other than it's an OTF, and OTFs are not as reliable as other knives. It still has some of the same faults. As far as a knife, it was perfect. It's the first knife that ever only got a perfect. I'm not as enamored with the owner of Hawk Knives, personally. So I will say that. But I wish that companies could just kind of like come to their own. I see no reason, if I came up with a new lock mechanism, that I wouldn't allow other companies to use it if it was to a benefit of the knife industry, as long as they weren't duplicating my design. You know what I mean? The mechanism, the lock mechanism, I mean, companies patent it. Spyderco had a patent on their compression lock for a long time. It's expired. Other companies now use it. The Axis lock, Benchmade had a patent on that. Their patent expired. Other companies are using it. Microtech's using a version of it. Vosteed's using a version of it. I have no doubt that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that when those patents expire, everyone's going to be using the exact mechanism that's in a Hawk knife. So I don't really see, I don't see a benefit. You know, as much as I dislike Rick Hinderer, he allowed people to use his over travel stop design, which is in this knife. You see it right there. As long as they gave credit to him for it. I don't know. That's just my take on it. I don't like getting into, like, I don't like drama in the knife world, except when I do my annual bashing of a guy named Paulo Blazano. So if you're new to the channel, you might not know about it. Who stole like $70,000 worth of knife enthusiasts' money for a Kickstarter and then never made a single fucking knife. That one, I do allow that to be my guilty pleasure. So I'm not trying to take sides on it. I've met, when his father was still alive, I met Grant and Gavin Hawk. They seemed good enough. I do have a personal thing that happened that I'm upset with them about, but I can't argue that they make amazing knives. I'm personally friends with Tony Marfione. He does a lot of shit I don't agree with, right? So, at any rate, let's get back to, enough about you. Let's talk about me. If you guys really want a good quality knife, I'm not going to tell you to just pick up this one, right? You ready for this? Not just going to tell you to pick up this one, which I will tell you, you probably should pick one of these up. That coupon code and that link down below will say, like I said, I believe that if you use the link down below and the coupon code, I think there's a 10% built in on both of those. I can't promise that you can get 20% off. I'm not saying you can get 20% off. You may be able to. It's possible. I do believe that that's how it works. If you use my link, it's 10% off. If you use my code, it's 10% off. I believe that's how it works. I don't know for sure. A knife like yours eliminates the need for Hinderer over travel stop, which is nice. So That's all I'm gonna say on the whole Hawk Knives Hinderer thing. I can see both sides of it, but I also can see that like both of those guys are fairly conceited. So I will say that the problem I do have with Hawk Knives is that at the show they're all, oh yeah, love that, and you know, this and that, and then when you talk to them offline, they're completely different. Tony, you get Tony. That's all there is. That's why I love Tony. Like him or love him, or like him or hate him. What you get what you get in person is what you're gonna get anytime. There is no false face. It's like how I run my channel. Like, you get me. Any of my friends that know me know that when you see me on a YouTube video, you're seeing exactly what you see when you meet me in person. Or if you've known me for a long time. There is no forward-facing social media Mike. There's just Mike. And that's what I love about Tony. Tony's problematic. He can be polarizing, but the fact is, you always get the same thing. I have come to realize that there's a whole bunch of people in the knife industry that are kind of two-faced, which is kind of why I'm kind of over it. I've noticed that. I've noticed that you talk to people at shows, and they're all about, like, even me being me, will talk to people and be like, hey, I don't need another knife. Like, I'm not trying to get a free knife. I want you to send me what you carried so that I can send it back to you, because if you send me a knife, I'm going to do shit like this to it, like I did to this prototype, and then you can't sell it. So if you've got a production version of your knife that you tested before it went live, that you've carried and you've beat up, I'm 100% fine with borrowing that and then sending it back to you. I am not always, the companies, a lot of times companies though will send you free stuff just because they know that the price of that knife is less than what they would pay to get some of the publicity that even a smaller channel like mine would generate. So, but you'll have guys that you talk to at knife shows, they're like, oh yeah, no, that's fine, I'll hit you up, hit me up later, and then you talk to them, and then they're like, nope, not doing it. And I'm like, bro, we were talking about it at a show, you were fine with it. Like I said, once again, not trying to get a $300, $400, $500 knife. I want the one that you've got in your pocket right now, and I don't want to keep it, because I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of the knives that come in, as much as I like them, aren't knives that I'm going to carry. There are some exceptions. I bought this one. I carry it. This one came in. I carry it. This one came from Vosteed for me to do a video about. I carry it. This is the Vosteed Psyop. I'm fine with it. This one came in because I designed the knife and they sent me the prototype, but I carried it. You know what I carry a lot that they sent me? Is this one. This gets a lot of pocket time. It doesn't get a lot of heavy use because, well, just fucking look at it. Like, it's a gorgeous piece of my collection. I do have knives that I don't use as often. Would I recommend the military to? One of the best. It is the best Spyderco they make. This is the best Spyderco they make. The PM2 is a better all-around knife for the general populace, because not everyone has giant fucking hands like me. Because this is a 9 1/4 inch knife. For a lot of people, the PM2 is the perfect size. I have to agree. But this is the best knife they make. In my opinion, this is the best knife that Spyderco makes, especially in this crewwear and micarta version. So, a lot of knives that come from companies aren't knives that I would carry, which is why I said, since I'm pretty much shutting the channel down, I've been spending my time, which is why the studio looks like there was an explosion. I've been spending my time cleaning things up and figuring out knives that do not need to stay, because there's a lot of knives here that I will probably never carry, and they're just here for reference material for videos, for comparison purposes for videos. I probably have 6 knives that I carry on a regular basis. I have well over 600 knives. I probably have almost 1,000 when you get down to it. When you go through boxes that are in a storage closet that we have here that we don't like, go into very often, and we have a storage unit that I rent over on the base, and I'm going to tell you, it's got at least 2 boxes of knives in it. I have boxes of knives, rolls of knives. I have shelves full of knives. Probably never going to carry again. The only reason they're here is because they show up in videos for like compilation videos of knives, cool knives, or these knives with this specific locking mechanism. The Military 2 is a knife that does get carried a lot. It spends a lot of time in my pocket. This surprisingly spends a lot of time in my pocket. Which is that Janus song, you know? But a lot of the knives that are the ones that get carried are ones that I bought, like this one. This one, my Microtech Amphibian, which still to this day beats $1,000 knives. At a $300 price point, American made. Here, let's just grab this one and this one. For most people, back to that question about the Military 2, would I recommend it? I would, but I would, for most people, I would recommend the PM2 for most people over the Military 2. It's just smaller. It's easier. So when you've got a shorter blade and you're closer to the tip, it's easier to manipulate. You lose a bit of, when you have that longer, blade, the control at the very tip of the knife is diminished. On a shorter blade, you've got a lot more control of that knife. So I don't find it problematic. It's still a big enough knife for me, especially when you choke up on it. It is smaller, but the ergos on that knife are almost identical. It's just a little smaller. I find it to be about the perfect EDC knife. If I was going to recommend a knife to anyone, I keep getting these texts, guys. If you live in California, you keep getting these texts from a +63 number that's like, final enforcement notice. As of today, your tolls are still unpaid. I haven't used a toll road since the last time I went to a knife show. This one is that Microtech Amphibian that I talk about all the time. This is the best knife I have ever purchased. It really is. To put it in perspective, I bought this knife. Yes, I paid $1,000 for a knife. I paid $310 for this knife, and it's the best knife I've ever owned. And it's just a combination of things. But remember we were talking about lock mechanisms? That's an Axis lock. It's a different version of the Axis lock, but that ram lock, possibly my favorite version of the Axis lock ever done. And it's in here because patent ran out. That push button compression lock, that's on here because Spyderco's patent on a compression lock ran out. Did I ever build any folders myself? No, and I'll explain why. While I love folders, I loved making knives. And I saw what went into making folding knives because I helped out around Fair and Forge Knife Works at the shop. And I saw the work that went into making a folding knife. And none of it looked fun. So I enjoyed the elements of making a knife a fixed blade. And I saw what the guys would do and what it took to make a folding knife. And I said, well, that doesn't look like fun. And I was like, I don't think I would enjoy that. So I never made any folding knives. Because it just, I think it would have taken the fun out of, and guys, if you're here, please drop a like. I'm only do this for about another 20 minutes. I think that it would have taken the fun out of, like, this is straightforward and fun. Right? Carbon fiber, mosaic pins, doing the grind on it. Like I said, this is based on this knife. This one is based on this knife, which was a gift for my daughter. This was fun. And there was a lot of love put into this. There was a lot of things that I did with this that I didn't do with any other knife. and it's because it was a gift from my daughter. The figuring out lockup, making the radius, and figuring out dimensions for the hardware and how thick the blade stock and everything needed to be, and doing it by hand and not doing it on a mill, completely different animal. And I think it would have sucked any fun that was in making knives for me and sucked it out of it. And we've got to go grab a cord because I just realized the battery on this is almost dead. It wasn't at 100. His phone was not at 100%. Oh, speaking of phones, this was not the phone we were going to do this on. I was planning on having a brand new phone with a better front-facing camera. And it was going to be a completely different look. It was going to be better. Well, not completely different. You still would have had me. So I ordered a phone for an upgrade. Because this is just a cheap, crappy iPhone 12 mini. Not got the best top-of-the-line camera. None of that, right? UPS stole my phone. We had to do a stolen in transit on my phone, and I'm waiting for it to clear through so I can go to the AT&T store and get an upgrade locally, because they sent my phone. They said they tried to make delivery of my phone, and then it's supposed to go back to AT&T, and AT&T was like, that package hasn't moved since the 21st. We need to do a stolen in transit. So we had to go through all the info on that to do it. And I'm like, well, how about that shit? So, fuck UPS. I've never had a good experience with UPS. Not once. Never once have I. So, well, guys, I don't know. It looks like there's only 16 people here. If you guys want to stick around. Oh, so we were talking about camping, right? And I mentioned at home. If you, because you can use it for a lot. This is a broken one, but this is what I use if I go camping, just as a quick, almost like a ceramic rod. Nice thing is it's nice and flat, and it's narrow enough that you can do things like recurves. It's got that point that you can use to just as a, like you would with a ceramic rod. You can get this in your hands. If you sharpen like I used to, you can do it like this. This is what I take when I go camping. Just instead of like a sharpening kit, I just take this little piece here. It's usually in my kit. I still do have, even though I don't have a Spyderco sharp maker, I have all of the stones you would need for a sharp maker. And the reason is I use these for serrations. Tracker style knives. I don't know what you mean by tracker style knives. Are you talking about the one that comes down and it's got like the front and then it's got the cut back? So it, like the one from that movie, The Hunted? Is that what you're talking about? That's the only thing I can, that's what's popping into my head, but I'm not 100% sure. I never saw much use in those. I think they were, I don't know, they seem like they were designed to just have that look, to look really cool. I can't think of a purpose for it, but then again, it's similar to what you get on this, where you've got a recurve and then that forward facing on this one where it's you have this recurved area and then this area here, and this is a convex and then that's a hollow. Maybe. I've never used one, so I couldn't say that I would find them useful. I find this incredibly useful. As a matter of fact, I stopped myself from carrying this. Do you know what I carry now in lieu of this? Because it's very, very similar. I carried this so much that I was ruining it. I was sharpening it to a point where I was going to sharpen this knife away to nothing. And because I used it so much, I use my, wait here, I use my Knives knives. I use my Knives knives offender for things that I typically would want to carry this for. So this has a very, very similar design. Not quite the same, but I can do most of the things that I would do with this knife with this one. And the reason I use this instead of that one is that was a $1,000 knife and I paid for it, and Jared sent me this one for free. to use on the channel, and I do use this a lot. I have not had to sharpen it yet. I saw someone say, because this is a MagnaCut, someone said that MagnaCut is basically stainless crewware, and I'm like, that makes no sense. If you take one steel, I'm trying to see the message that this person just retracted. If you take one steel and you change its properties and make it stainless, it's not the same steel anymore. I've said that for years. Everybody's like, oh, that's just basically like this, only this. And I'm like, then it's not that. If you change elements of a steel, it's going to change its properties. So, I mean, that could even go down to doing it as powdered metallurgy versus standard. Like that, those two things make no sense. That's like saying, well, a watermelon is just basically a cantaloupe, but we did this. Well, then it's not. Cantaloupe and a watermelon are absolutely not the same thing. Cantaloupe's a cantaloupe, a watermelon's a watermelon. There are some exceptions when you look at composition with them being so incredibly close, like M390, 20CV, and 204P. They are all basically the same chocolate chip cookie with minor little changes. Like your grandma might use butter and his grandma might use Crisco, and I'm going to tell you what, the cookies are going to taste the fucking same. It's the same cookie, but just enough differences for them to say that they're not the same. But I'm going to tell you right now, having used and sharpened 204P, 20CV, made almost every one of my knives was done in 20CV, and M390, samey same. The same with Maximet and Rex 121, and there are some other steels out there that are basically a duplication of a formula with just enough of a difference for them to say it's not the same. But if you make a drastic change in a steel, such as taking crewware and making that formula stainless, you no longer have crewware. And you no longer, it's not a stainless steel crewware. It is a different steel. It's going to have different properties and things like that. I will tell you, typically not a fan of MagnaCut. I love crewware. You know why? I don't like the edge that MagnaCut takes. I find it to be too fine. It's one of the same reasons I don't like S35VN as much as other steels. It does not, it takes a very, very fine edge, and at a point it loses its tooth, and I don't like the edge it takes. Now this has got a very coarse edge on it. This is my Sabenza. Absolutely love it. But you can't take it up in higher grit. Where did I put my knife? Here. Reason I like S90V, that has an 8,000 grit edge on it. 8,000 grit edge that is still aggressive enough to do that to paper top. That is ridiculous at 8,000 grit. Typically, on most steels that you see people doing that with a paper towel, it's because they're using a toothier, coarser edge, not 8,000 grit. S90V, still aggressive. It's carbides, things like that that are in it. It is ridiculous. So it's just one of those things, right? That like, crewware is like this. You can take it pretty far up into grit. You can't do that with MagnaCut. MagnaCut is a very, very fine grain structure, which means it's got very, very fine, even though they're super evenly distributed carbides, they are super. My buddy Alan Hawthorne is absolutely trolling me. He's sending me texts as we speak. They're popping up. You get to a point with those super fine grain structure seals where they're just too fine of an edge, and I don't necessarily like it. There's a reason I like some of the more old school style steels like 14C28N and things like that. They have that carbide. They have the larger carbides that no matter how fine you take that up, you've still got a very aggressive edge. S90V, Crewwear, you know, some of those. This has got a fairly fine edge. Will this do it still? I use this knife a lot. This is AEDL. Yeah, see? It's not the paper. I don't want anybody to think that I'm using a specific type of paper towel that is that's tearing. It's not doing a good job. Even this is a really, really sharp knife. Will it do it? Yeah, I just sharpened this. Well, it's still not as good as that. This is M390 MK. It's a perfect swing. Do I like AUS 10? I like AUS 10. I had never had a knife in AUS 10 until I got this one. I like AUS 10 so far. It seems to be pretty stainless. It seems to have really good edge retention, impact resistance, but a lot of it has to do with heat treat. Cold Steel's been famous for doing really good heat treats in the past. This is the Espada. I did a lot of chopping with this one and the larger version. And I believe that this one, that's the factory edge, guys. That's the factory edge on this knife. And if you remember when I did the testing videos, you saw me chopping wood with this and the large one. The only thing I've done with either one of these was strop them. And so, let's see if the large one, and like I said, I chopped hard oak. That's still factory edge. I chopped hard kiln-dried oak firewood with this knife, and that's the factory edge. I can take no credit for the edge on this. And that, like I said, was extensively tested. Why was AUS 8 steel used so much? Because you could, if you did the heat treat right, you got a really good end result, and it was an inexpensive steel. Cold Steel has been famous for years for maximizing what you could get out of steels that were considered budget. They really have. Those two knives in particular. AUS 10 is more of a budget steel. AUS 8 was a budget steel. And Cold Steel did such a good job with their heat treats that they just held up. A8. Oh, A8 tool steel. Tool steels are easy to work with. Tool steels are easy to heat treat. You can do it with minimal equipment. They're typically heat treated at a lower temperature. They're typically heat treated at a lower temperature and tempered in like your home oven. When you're talking about 20 CV and some of the steels that I used, you're looking at needing to oven kiln heat it at 2200 degrees, and then your temper is done at 1000. You're not doing that at home. You can't get your home oven to 1000. Steels like tool steels typically are tempered at around 450 degrees, 350 to 450 degrees, which you can do in a toaster oven if you need to. So it's, you know, they're easier to work with. The heat treatment is as difficult. They're not as difficult to grind. Your abrasives don't have to be anywhere near as insane as if you were doing something like I said, like S90V. The super steels are harder to work with. You get really good results with some of these harder to work with super steels. You get a better end product. But we're back to this. So, like I said, if you're just joining, this knife is my design and it is available now. There is a link down below in the description that will save you 10%, and I believe if you use the coupon code that's there as well, crazysharp, you save an additional 10%. So you could, I believe, not promising, but at least you could save 10% with either the link or the coupon code. So, yeah, this thing's a laser. It's a laser. And like I said, I tested it on tons and tons of cardboard. I also tested it on, now I didn't get an oak. When I went up to get the dowel rod, I saw the price of an oak dowel rod and I was like, good God, that's more expensive than I was hoping. So I got a section, and I think I bought a 6-foot section. I think I bought a 6-foot section of pine. That's what I was trying to. I bought a 6-foot section, and I had them chop it to. No, I bought an 8-foot section, and they chopped it into 2 4-foot sections. So to show you what I did for testing, I'll go grab it. This is all I have left. This is what I have left. So I got a 1-inch pine dowel, and it's been beat around and stuff like that out in the yard. But I cut, from the time I bought this knife, it was specifically to test this knife. This is all that's left of an 8-foot pine dowel rod. And I used it for this, and I wanted to be able to say that I cut up almost 8 feet, and all I would do was I would just cut and cut and cut and cut and cut. I would buy a dowel rod, and when I would test knives, I would cut it into sections, and typically into like a 2-foot section, and then I would cut it down, and like a 1-foot section, I'd make tent stakes. It's a good way to test a knife, and it gives you a really good idea how the edge holds up. It gives you a good idea how that knife's going to feel in hand when you have to use a lot of pressure. But I was not buying it. It's definitely pine. I'm not paying what they wanted for an oak dowel rod, or for an 1-inch dowel, 8 feet of it. And so I cut it into 2 4-foot sections. Then here at the house, I cut it into a couple 2-foot sections. This is all that's left. So this officially has cut up an 8-foot section of pine dowel, and I did a great job. I'm not going to cut this up in the house because I won't get it all cleaned up, and my wife will come back from Japan and be like, what the fuck did you do in my house? So yeah, it's just been proof that this was a good design. So you'll need that for vampires. What is this? Culminated N-rays. Bought one of those last night. Saw them become available. Apologized to the wife and then purchased it. I appreciate it. Oh no. My daughter just said something. She has to park on campus. Hang on a second. Are you going to have to pay? My daughter drove to campus today instead of taking the trolley. And now she doesn't have any place available at the trolley station because she was going to park at the trolley station, which is one exit. Okay, make sure you transfer money into your account so you can use your card. So typically she takes the trolley all the way up from here. The wife's gone. She drove my wife's car up. She typically parks, if she drives up there, she typically stops at the trolley station, one stop before the school, one stop before the university, and she rides the trolley like 2 minutes. There's no parking there. She's gonna have to park on campus. That's expensive. So yeah, guys, I can't tell you how excited I am about this. I've always wanted a really good folding knife. Like I said, okay, to this point, I've always wanted a really good folding knife with a convex edge, or convex knife, right? Convex grind. The problem was none of those were in the design that I found to be as useful. This is a really, really nice knife. I love it. This is also done by KATSU. They sent me this for review. Absolutely love it, but this is very similar to the Higo 2, and I don't find this design to be as useful. I don't find the knife itself to be as comfortable. I can't do as many things with this as I would want. This has all the qualities of the Rockstead design, with that, you know, the ability to cut with that convex, the resilience of that, but in a knife design that's meant for guys like me that are outdoorsmen, guys like you that are workers. Which celebrity would you want to carry? I don't know. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care. What I want, I don't want any celebrities to carry my knife. You know what I want? I want you guys to carry my knife. I want guys that are actually going to use it to carry my knife. I don't want this. These knives, as beautiful as they are, I don't want them to go into a collection and never get used. I want to see these knives, like when you guys get these, I want to see pictures of this knife having gotten used. I want to see it get like scuffed up, beat up, you know, scratched up, dirty, and used, because that's what it was designed for. This wasn't just done to be something that you put in your collection and you eyeball it. There are guys that do that. I get it. This was meant to be used, even to the point where how we contoured the grips on this. Do you see the grip on this handle? That's fully contoured. This can be one of the most comfortable knives you've used to cut with, ever. That's what I want. I don't want this to be a collector's piece. I want you to take this out, beat the shit out of it, then tag me in pictures of it on either your YouTube channel in posts or in on Instagram. If you can find me on Instagram, I don't use Instagram very much, but you can tag me in it and just beat the shit out of these things. I'm not saying try to break it and then claim my knife is garbage. Just use the crap out of it and then show me what you did with it. Because I know I did. I cut up more cardboard with this than any 3 knives should have. I designed it. I can't make knives anymore. I can't make knives in the volume it would take. I want you guys to go find these at KATSU KNIVES. Half empty. There's a link down below to the. It's in the very front of the description. KATSU made these. We've been working on getting this design released for the better part of a year, almost. This is one of the prototypes that came out. Keep in mind, a big guy. It's a big knife. I believe that these are. Let me give you the specs, just so you don't walk into it and go, "Holy crap! I wasn't expecting it to be that big." You're looking at 9 inches overall. It's a 9-inch knife, right at 9 inches. It's a 9-inch knife. So S90V. The blade length is 3.3 inches. So it does have a little bit longer handle than it does of blade, because I wanted that big forward choil on it so that you had that for control, so you can get way up on it, get way up on that, and use that in more scenarios than you could if it didn't have one. I'm a big fan of a choil. There are some knives that do better without a choil. I can appreciate that. For this one, I definitely wanted a forward choil on it. I wanted that ability to change grips. I've used it a lot like this. I find them easily to, you get more control when you get way up on it like this. So what else we got here? Overall weight. Weight on this is, the weight, I think we already talked about it, but weight on this isn't bad. It's lighter. It's heavier than some other knives. 5.7 ounces. It's 5 ounces. Tip to handle length is 9 inches. So I think they're talking about 3.3 inches. Well, God damn it, you're gonna make me grab a ruler, aren't you? Right at the end of the live feed. Now make me grab a ruler. Hang on. Hang on, I'm coming. I've got to find my machinist rule. So, to put it into you, for you guys, on the manometer, you're looking at almost 8 inches on the manometer, because we all know that, you know what I mean. That's your PP ruler. It is, the blade length is just shy of 4 inches. So they're talking about the sharpened edge. The sharpened edge is 3.3. 3.3 sharpened length, which, yeah, that's the sharpened edge. Blade length is almost 4, so it's almost a 4-inch blade from bolster to tip. Oh, pardon me. So it makes a difference. It makes a difference. I personally, I mean, if you're talking about how many organs you can get to, just saying, you know what I'm saying? So 9 inches overall, 3.3 sharpened, and it's just shy of 4 in overall length. And there's weird dimensions to this because it's based off of a fixed blade that I made. If you know anything about how I talk about how I design fixed blades, I made the handle first and then I would put a blade on it. And I never once tried to come up with, well, I want the blade to be this long, I want the handle to be this long. It just wound up being what it was. So all of my knives have got weird, wonky blade to handle like measurements. So it's, you know, they always wound up being weird. People are like, how did you come up with those? And I was like, because when I made the knife, I held on to it, and then I was like, okay, that's, and when I would grind the blade on it, when I was bringing, I was like, okay, that's where I want, that's the nimble. So that's how the blade length wound up coming. So the handles, it's about 3.9. So if you look at it, here, I'll show you. Well, here, let's turn the camera around for this. Oh, shit. Almost dropped you. So from bolster to tip, you're looking at just under 4 inches on that machinist rule. And that was on the 30-second scale. So just about 29, 30 seconds. 29 or 29, 30 seconds-ish on overall, like 3 and 29, 30 seconds on blade length on that machinist rule. So, like I said, it's not a little knife. So, I don't know whether I would say that this would be the knife I would grab as a self-defense knife, but with it having that convex, I'm going to let you know, there's a reason the Japanese use that convex edge on their swords, because it will lay a devastating cut on your opponent. That's why Japanese swords are like that. It pushes material out of the way. That's why they laid such a devastating cut through a person. I'm not saying you should carry this as self-defense, but I think it'd do the job. You could let the air out of someone with that very easily. It has got a very, very acute point because of the way it's ground down to a full convex. Even though it's a very acute point, it's going to be a very resilient point because of it being a convex. So, how's the reverse grip? Well, you know me. I got that in, I put that in mind. There's enough material that sits up, so in reverse grip, it's pretty good. Got some pretty good reach with that. So pretty good snap cut with it. That's just a good knife. So, like I said, guys, the link is down below. Use that link. There's 10% built into that link. I can't promise it, but if you use the coupon code crazysharp that's in there in the squeaky marks, it may save you another 10%. But at minimum, I can save you 10% on it. Either with my link down below or my coupon code. So, this was not designed to be a self-defense knife. But I got news for you. You know what the best knife for self-defense is? The fucking one you got in your pocket. That's a direct quote from Mr. Saul Glesser. You know what the best knife for any situation is? The one you got in your pocket. So, with that being said, I don't know when I'm going to do another one of these. I don't know when you're going to see a video come up. I really haven't seen anything in the knife industry that has blown my pants off yet recently that would entice me to spend the kind of time it requires to set up. Now, after a wife and kid leave for Japan, that may change. I may spend my days off doing some videos, but I just really haven't had the urge And I have not seen anything really that just blows my hair back. You know, there was a while where there was so much stuff in the knife world. It's kind of like the video game world right now. There's just not a lot going on that's new and interesting. It's just kind of rehashing the old stuff. This was the last thing that really kind of set me aglow, and there's a reason you see it in so many videos. And then this came, the prototype came, and I'm like, this is basically what's been in my pocket for the better part of a year. It's hard to test knives and get a good feel for them when you just don't see anything that just kind of inspires you to want to do a video. And you guys know I don't get paid to do videos, so I don't have sponsors. There's a reason I stopped having sponsors. Well, I had a sponsor. It was Coffee Brand Coffee. If you guys don't know how much I love it, I am actually part of the Founders Club. I have got, Jesus guys, you gotta see this. People are like, you talk about the Coffee Brand Coffee all the time. Do you really drink that much of it? What do you guys think? I drink a lot of coffee, and almost 100% of it is Coffee Brand Coffee. And when I say almost 100%, it's because occasionally I'll go somewhere and have to buy a coffee, you know? So, all right, guys. As much as I love you guys, I have got stuff I need to do. I've got to get this all cleaned up. I've got to do some stuff. Now that the wife is gone, I've got some laundry that I've got to do and stuff like that, and I have to take the dog for a walk because I'm the one doing it. Speaking of which, you guys want to see something crazy? This dude. Oopsie. Misses my wife so much. So my wife spends a lot of time here on the couch. When she comes home from work, she lays down. I have PTSD, I have a lot of nightmares. I sleep with a CPAP. I roll around, I thrash around, I have nightmares and stuff. There's a lot of times my wife sleeps on the couch. There's a blanket here and all that. So there's a lot of times my wife is here. He has been laying next to this couch waiting for my wife to come home since this morning when I took her to the airport. So, and to give you guys a little look-see here, it is a shitty rainy day here. Oh, the dog, you ready for this? He loves to smell my wife's flowers in her flower garden out here. The ones over here, he took a particular liking to and has killed almost all of them because we have caught him numerous times laying down here with his head in the bushes sniffing the flowers. So my daughter just texted me and said she's screwed. I don't think she can find parking. She's just gonna have to, she's going to have to find a parking spot. But yeah, he misses the mama. He misses the mama. You want to talk about big dog? This is a full-size sectional couch. He's not even stretched out. Hi, bud. Hi, bud. So, guys, love y'all. I will try to do a couple more live feeds here in the next few, weeks, but I can't promise anything. I'm not going to kick my own ass to do YouTube. You're going to see shorts, and that's probably going to be the extent of it for a while. And like I said, I haven't had anything new come in. I haven't had anybody. I had a couple companies reach out to me and like, hey, would you be interested? And it feels good to be able to say, no, I'm not. It's really not something that I'm that interested in. Companies that I've worked with before, and before I would say yes just because I could do the content, and 9 times out of 10, the knives are at least decent, and I could say good things about them and not like trash them and not have to send them like, look, I can't do a video about this and send them the knife back. It feels good to be able to just say, yeah, you know what? I'm not that interested in that knife, and tell them like, look, nothing to offend you at all, but just not a knife I'm interested in right now. So, all right, guys, that's it. I have to go shopping. We have to get a couple things for here at the house for me and my daughter for
for cooking and lunch purposes, and I need to figure out what's going on with her if I have to go up. So, guys, I love y'all. Stay subscribed to the channel. You'll still see stuff, even if it's only shorts. See some videos of this guy. This lonely boy right here. So, all right, guys, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day off. So, take it easy.